Hello artists, I'm Linda Ann Smith and this video will be for the Love Spring Art Creative Arts Collaboration Art Crawl, and I'm going to do a watercolor redbud. It's the Oklahoma state tree and one of the very first to bloom when springtime comes. Yesterday I created a floral for the first day of the art crawl for Love Spring Art, and this is the paper where I kind of wiped off my brushes and tested things to see what colors they were. And here's the floral painting that I created, and this area right here I did, if you saw the video, I used this plastic doily to make a print, and then I took the doily and turned it over after I made that print wherever the residue was from this spray. I turned it over and printed it onto the other page. You can see here where I tested a few branches and colors and different things while I was creating the original floral. Now I have a page that's ready to go for a new one, and I've taped it to my board, and this takes away any problem that you have with worrying about blank canvas syndrome or white page syndrome. The first thing I'm going to do is kind of try to spread out some of this darker emerald green color. It was a black emerald, I believe. This page could lend itself to another floral if I wanted to do that, but I think I'm going to go in a tiny bit different direction and go for a landscape this time. So I'm going to extend these lines, making some tree branches. I've always kind of wondered why they call these trees redbuds, because they're more of a fuchsia color. They range from pink to purple almost, but redbuds they are. And it became the state tree in 1937 for Oklahoma. Here I've got some of that black emerald again, and I'm mixing that up on the side of my board and bringing out some of these simple little branches. They're not very big trees, they're shrub trees. These begin blooming about the same time that the dogwoods do in this area, and if you are familiar with that, you know how pretty that can be. Especially, I've always loved it when there was an evergreen tree kind of close and behind, and it just pops that color. I don't think I'm going to try an evergreen today, but we'll see where I go with this. I don't have a plan again. I usually advise that when you are doing commission work to have a plan, but I love working intuitively, just seeing what happens. So I've gone to the bougainvillea and the pink azalea because those are the colors in my Twinkling H2Os that are closest to the colors of the redbud tree. Okay, I've got some leftover paint on my brush so I can wipe it off onto that page, and it will no longer be a nice clean page to scare me away. I may use this for tomorrow's Love Spring Art. The small container of water you see here is for wetting my paints, for dipping my brush to extend paints, but then I have a larger container of water where I wash brushes. I just spread the bristles of this round brush out after I got paint on them to work like a fan brush, except it'll work in a broader area instead of little tiny line type areas that I am getting here with my fan brush. That works in more rounded edges. So I work back and forth with both. I'm going to speed this up, and if I need to pop back in here and say anything, that's fine. Otherwise, I'm going to enjoy this with the music. This composition just isn't working for me, so I know I need to add something else to make it look like a better landscape. Landscapes really aren't my thing, but every once in a while I like to piddle in them, and I think it's good to challenge yourself. So there's a lot of religious legends about the redbud tree. It has to do with Jesus and Judas who betrayed him, and these also bloom at the same time when the dogwood does, and that has a lot of legend behind it religiously. So I'm going to add a little church back in here. This wasn't necessarily in the plans, it just happened. I realized that the steps up to the church were already in place. I almost destroyed them a couple of times earlier without realizing it. I can almost hear Bob Ross saying at this point, we don't want this happy little tree to be lonesome, so we're going to give it some companions. And one of the jars of watercolor that I set on the paper made a little circle on it, so that seemed like a really good idea to me to solve that problem. This big blob right here really bothers me, so let's fix it. Just a few more touches and a signature. And here's a look at the page I created in the background, wiping off brushes and testing out paints. And perhaps I'll be able to use this tomorrow, we'll see. Check the description box below for directions of how to find other artists who are participating in this event. I hope you enjoyed this watercolor demonstration, and I'd appreciate a thumbs up, a share, comments. I always try to answer all comments. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Thank you for watching.